Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Risen Pre-Made Unstoppable here at Omega Gaming. We're bringing you the semi-finals of Omega Gaming Lunar versus EOD. My name is Dia, and I am joined by Rudude for this series that I could not be more excited for. I've missed casting Omega Gaming Lunar.
Exactly, we're back at it again. The dream duo on the cast, bringing you Omega Luna versus EOD. This is the semi-finals of the Risen Pre-Made Unstoppable, and today is where we find out which of these teams is going to be taking themselves all the way into that grand final. We can see that already Luna off to a very strong sort of blue side draft targeting specific champions, and EOD going with those more generic red side bands targeting very powerful picks in general on their red side.
Absolutely, and I mean, we can't forget that as much as they are powerful, there are also things that we've seen Omega Gaming Lunar practice on over and over again. Last week, Hecarim Karma was looking exceptionally strong. Gangplank, as always, exceptionally strong. And now Omega Gaming Lunar, they've taken off all the first picks of last week. What are they going to lock in for themselves?
Looks like here they're going to go for the Caitlyn here for rapid fire. Very strong, stable AD carry in the current meta. Did receive a few nerfs a couple patches ago, but is still up there, dominant and challenging all the other ADCs to be that premier AD carry. Rapid fire knows his way around this champion as well, so a very safe, blind first pick here for Omega Gaming Luna. And we have to remember as well quickly that this is a best of 5 series, not a best of 3. We're at the semi-finals now, guys. This is the deep end of the tournament right now, and the best of fives are going to start rolling in thick and fast.
Yeah, they really are, and I think it's going to give more of a chance for teams like Omega Gaming Lunar and EOD to adapt to the opposition during a series. But already EOD throwing a wrench in the works. They know they have 3 games to work with at least, and they whip out that Jinx that I've seen more and more frequently.
Exactly, seen it a few times coming around as a bit of an answer, supposedly, to this Caitlyn. The late game scaling that is available to the Jinx is just absolutely tremendous. There's a lot of things that this Jinx can do better in the late game than a Caitlyn does. The late game team fighting is just so potent with those rockets, with that Runans as well. So many crits in one auto attack can really devastate a team fight if left unchecked. Volibear locked in on the top side for EOD could still be a flexible pick into the jungle, but with the recent Worlds display, we expect this Volibear to go into the top lane as a sort of safe blind pick for the top laner of EOD.
And that's going to be responded to the jungle slash top lane pick. Like you said, probably going top. Going to be responded to with a strong bot lane. We've got a very blind pickable bot laner in the Caitlyn matched with the Morgana, going to create a very high pressure lane for this Jinx. And I think the objective is to really keep down that scaling that you talked about as long as possible, because Jinx puts a timer on the game.
Exactly, the laning potency of Omega Gaming Luna already in the bot side is so far beyond what a Jinx is capable of handling in the laning phase. Should the Jinx get bound by really any CC from this Morgana, the trap will connect, the pilt over Peacemaker, top of the 90 caliber net, triple headshot combos can come through for the Caitlyn if they've got that passive stacked efficiently. And the Caitlyn can definitely put out enough damage to one-shot this Jinx. We'll have to wait and see what EOD respond with as a support, because there is an opportunity to maybe take something to mitigate the Morgana's laning presence, but just the devastating power of the Black Dark binding rather could be devastating.
And it's just that it's going to be mitigation right now. If we look at just the 3 picks of EOD, especially if we assume that Volibear goes top, what I see is safe and blind picks. I mean, yes, the Jinx was locked in with full knowledge, but other than that, you have a Jinx that's already losing lane, a Volibear that can be counterpicked, and a Corki that's going to be essentially forfeiting until later because of the ability to counterpick. And it's a little bit of a safe bet from EOD.
It definitely is. Both very incredibly strong marksmen carries that scale well into the late game. We talk about Muramana Corki with that Trinity Force being an incredibly potent 2-item carry. Jinx as well getting themselves there, but with these believed solo laners, or at least topside blind picks being locked in for Luna, or for EOD rather, it opens up Luna to getting themselves a few flexible picks and advantageous matchups into these solo laners. If the Volibear's topside, if the Corki is in the mid lane, which we believe it is, then there's definitely an opportunity for something to come out and maybe punish the Corki, punish the Volibear in the lane. And I believe that's where Luna will have to try and win something out, because if they take this to late game, they're definitely going to struggle.
Yeah, and you've got to imagine that right here for EOD, I think you want to lock in something like a support, just to give you the opportunity to get out of that lane. If it is a terrible lane for Volibear or Make It Gaming Lunar, going to have the opportunity to counterpick you otherwise. And having taken away the Taric and the Lulu already, who pairs so well with those hyper carries, I wonder what EOD are going to look for.
And they look like actually the Nico lock in here, signifying that maybe we've gone for something in the top lane, but instead, confirmation from the in-game client here is going to be a Thresh, not a Nico. So something trying to punish, I guess, try and punish the picks from Omega Gaming Luna, trying to find something in the earlier game, try and make some plays happen around a Thresh pick.
Ooh. I like this Aurelia grab up here as well to make Gaming Lunar very quickly draw my eyes to that pick because the EOD, they've taken away Echo and Akali. They don't want to fight early. Aurelia, another mid laner that's going to be able to fight you in those early levels as the Corki. Shen looks like it's going to be the hover here, maybe putting Volibear into the jungle as the Ornn is also locked in for Omega Gaming Lunar on the top side.
Yeah, and I think if the EOD were going to try and counter this on with a better pick, I feel like Mordekaiser would have been the one that they wanted to go for.
Mm.
Yes, that would harpoon them into a little bit more of a magic damage focused composition, but I feel like you're already, Jinx is enough damage that you can carry the late game team fights with physical damage alone on that Jinx. So there's definitely a world where they can go for just the Jinx and then the Mordekaiser in the top lane. Give the Mordekaiser an absolutely horrendous laning phase and then make him so weak as we progress more and more through the game.
Yeah, and I think with the Shen lock-in, they're looking for a little bit more utility, and again, it feels like they're forfeiting the lane a little bit, believing that they can outplay Omega Gaming Lunar in the later stages around second or third Drake, because by forfeiting lanes, you're also starting to talk about those objectives.
Exactly. The early stages of the game we are expecting to go very Lunar favoured. And if those neutral objectives aren't secured by OGN, then definitely sort of forfeiting his role as this neutral objective securer on the Lilia. We know the champion clears incredibly quickly, much faster than the Volibear will do. And if he's not able to find some early success, play around these winning lanes, then we could just see EOD really roll over them. And with Drake takes coming through post 15 to 20 minutes, there's definitely a world where the neutral objective game can be stronger than the team fighting makes even stronger.
Yeah, and it's going to be up to EOD to recognize when they have item spikes and can actually fight Omega Gaming Lunar as well. And I actually have a little bit of a question mark around this Lilia pick, not because I believe that it isn't good, but because she's an AP jungler that needs maybe a little bit of time to scale. And I always find myself wondering, is she in the same position as somebody like an Evelynn or a Karthus that you feel comfortable drafting an all AD composition around because she brings so much AP damage? Or is this a composition that Omega Gaming Lunar have found themselves lacking in AP damage?
I think that they will. It will definitely vary on how the game goes, and this is one of those flexible, adaptable champions that you can build two different ways with the Lilia. You have the option of going for just, every Lilia will go Runic Echoes, Liandry's, but then from there it really is pick your poison of what you want to do in terms of tank or damage statistics. There's the option for you to go Zhonya's into Rylai's or into Morello's or something of that cadence to make the Lilia a lethal threat. There's also the option to go something like the Dead Man's Plate into an Abyss or Mask to make yourself a little bit tankier, a little bit more annoying in the backline as opposed to that all-in assassin style threat. So I think if Luna start getting their game underway and start snowballing, there's definitely the option for this Irelia, or for this Lilia rather, to do a lot of magical damage. And I think that also we can't discount the fact that Ornn on the top side is actually going to do a fair portion of magical damage with his kit in itself.
Yeah, Ornn actually, I think you're right, is maybe what is that called, unexpected source of magical damage, especially if you're not itemizing against it at all. The brittle procs do a surprising amount, and Eterno on this champion, I haven't seen his Ornn too much. It is really the gangplank that I remember him for, and I'm looking to see if he can put forth an adequate performance on a tank here, because we talked about just before the game, I feel like Omega Gaming Lunar, they can play through a lot of lanes, but it also comes down to whether everybody is comfortable with their given roles, and Eterno on a tank, not one that we see super often.
No, it's not. Eterno definitely the more carry-oriented top laner that we're used to seeing, at least. So, the game number one of this best of five, we see a slightly different take here for Luna that they're going to opt into a more mid AD carry focused carry style. But Gosha and Rapid Fire have definitely not been slouches in that regard. They've definitely been able to go for the carry style through multiple lanes here. And I think that's some sort of flexibility that we might see adapted throughout the games and throughout the series. Because that you've specifically highlighted that there might be some questions around EOD's ability to play through other lanes. Dr. Ken, notably, we've highlighted as somebody that we expect to be a key player for EOD, but we have some question marks around whether Myopia maybe over Rip as to whether or not they are going to be able to dominate late game and really carry EOD through these team fights.
Yeah, and now that you've drafted yourselves two hyper carries, I think that you're given a little bit more weight to specifically Dr. Kennan, and Rip as well going to have a little bit of an easier time than somebody who has to be prevalent in the mid game in terms of being able to carry. Maybe you get a team fight that you pop off, but this is not a team that we've managed to see before. What we do know is that they have beaten the team that beat Omega Gaming Lunar in the regular season in TA just 2 weeks ago. And I'm curious to see whether this is a team that can now challenge Omega Gaming Lunar, perhaps in that flexible style. Because it is the first of a best of 5, we're going to have to wait and see, because both these teams are going to be getting used to each other on the Rift once we get back. Welcome back to the Rift, or should I say to the Rift for the first time, ladies and gentlemen. We have finally finished off our little pause technical issue getaway, and Omega Gaming, Lunar, and EOD, they are ready to bring the full scope of competition to the Rift.
They definitely are here. The semi-finals of the Risen Pre-Made Unstoppable begins right now. EOD, Omega Gaming, Lunar, all of their regular season efforts, all of the quarterfinals, everything surmounting to this best of 5 series right here. And already we can see a little bit of a unique level 1 coming through for Omega Gaming, Lunar. Doesn't look like, though, it's going to amount to anything with the 5 point from EOD.
Unique is right, and when I look at the comp from EOD, I don't imagine anybody taking this specific route, so maybe this is a little bit of scouting that they've done on EOD's VODs specifically, but with Rindo Kobayashi being on the Volibear this time, maybe taking a little bit of a step back, playing this a little bit more conservatively as EOD.
Yeah, they're going to go for a little bit of a different approach to how Lunar maybe expected them to. First game of a best of 5, maybe a little bit of nerves in both of the veins of the teams right here. And with the Thresh, they definitely have a strong ability to level 1, and with the Shen on top of that, the potential for a multi-man taunt really is there. But that being said, EOD going to default back to just setting up the 5 point, making sure nobody invades in their jungle, and that everybody can get a pretty standard clear off the bat.
Yeah, and this will be Lilia starting top for OGN, which I think is a little bit unorthodox. Most of the time we see her start one of those Raptor camps. Unless I'm mistaken, this is a little bit more lane favored of an approach to the Lilia.
So if I'm looking at it right here, it looks as though the Lilia is trying to, in fact, leash both of the camps. In fact, it's just doing the blue buff and then into the Gromp here. But this gives her the opportunity to potentially do a 3 camp into a bot lane gank here. Not something that we see too often on Lilia. But we have to remember there's a melee versus ranged matchup in the mid lane, which gives the push generically to that ranged matchup. And if OGN is able to snowball Gosha with a pushing lane, then there's potential for a fight to amount. Mid lane is already looking very rough for Dr. Cannon.
Yeah, I was also thinking, hey, wait, who's the ranged champion in this? Because Gosha is just right on top of him. You have no opportunity to tell, and that's where Aurelia really going to thrive right now. Already puts Dr. Cannon at a disadvantage.
Yeah, with those blade surges, has definitely been getting the ability to close the gap on the Cannon. Does of course have the corrupting potion and the fleet footwork, so has plenty of sustain in this lane. Gosha though already has the health advantage, so to speak. And the H and the CS as well, not being discredited just yet from the Aurelia.
No, not at all. And right now, I think, with Dr. Cannon being forced to Valkyrie defensively, it is a little scary, but Adam lands a nice hook with a little bit of misdirection there. Looks to Flay rapid fire right back in, but Rip is getting taken down. One more auto will do it, and Scarf Rabble gets the first blood here unexpectedly. Adam goes aggressive, and it costs his ADC his life.
Yeah, and look at the summoner spells burned as well from EOD. 3 summoner spells for just the 2. Mid lane looking like a little engage, going to be dissuaded by the Valkyrie. But that bot lane fight, the cleanse used too early from Rip on the Jinx. Yes, he got the tenacity for the binding when it hit, but it just wasn't enough. Gosha, every time I see something happening mid lane, you've got to think, is he going to get the kill? But looking at it, with TP over Ignite, the kill threat is not quite the same. But if he hits another one of those stuns, there could definitely be some threat.
Yeah, really is a very explosive champion, and right now, having hit the level 4 already at an advantage, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Gosha maybe try and stall out till 6, just because Aurelia's level 6 is so strong. And right now, it feels like Omega Gaming Lunar, they're the ones that are running these lanes. EOD, they go aggressive in a bot lane that they have no business winning.
No, they don't, and we exactly see it, that the Caitlyn is able to reset with the CS advantage, and both summoner spells available, picks up the boots and the cull, so dodging those hooks is going to be easier, and getting to that BF sword is going to happen a little bit faster now, with the cull being picked up. Those big 2 items for Caitlyn, being the Storm Razor, being the Infinity Edge, no matter the order they come in, they're going to come in faster than they would have done previously.
Absolutely, and actually with the cull being sort of a hard reset because Rip hasn't been able to purchase anything anyway, it's still going to give you a lot of lane priority, a lot of lane damage, sustain, all the things that cull is known for and loved for. but at the same time, like you said, is going to get you towards those items, and it's going to almost give you a little bit of a jump where Rip will just be hitting that one item mark, and that's really scary on a Jinx that needs those 2 items to be relevant.
Yeah, exactly. And we already see that Rip actually took a second recall to match the cull buy, which isn't just going to hurt him in terms of the fact that he's missing lane minions and lane experience, but also that he's just purchased it a little too late here, being behind the Caitlyn curve in terms of where he's going to get that cull pop. And also, well, the quick pause and unpause right there, we'll take those. But in terms of just building the experience differential in the bot side, Rapid Fire and Rabble are going to be so far ahead of Rip in particular that they really need to be careful of just level 6 all-ins or just straight up out-leveling them.
Yeah, speaking of level 6 all-ins, we're also seeing Gosha get rather close to that, and I'm curious as to whether we see that be an explosive marker. Right now, OGN and Rindo Kobayashi have not shown themselves anywhere on the map, and Rindo Kobayashi especially is the one under pressure, but Dr. Kennen is hit 6, and Gosha, he wants to take the kill for himself. No 6 on the Aurelia just yet, needs one more auto, will get the kill on Dr. Kennen, and the solo kill for the Aurelia in the mid lane.
Up top as well now, Myopia is going to flash away from the Ornn Horn, so keeps himself safe there, but a solo kill in the mid lane with the wave, I believe, looking more favourable for the Irelia there. Definitely asserting some dominance in the mid lane. Yes, the Corki gets a kill, but he is down CS, and also likely to be down just a little bit of XP. TP is used in the mid lane as well.
Yeah, and because both TPs were available, we actually see the match, and it's just going to be... I think like a small gold injection almost over to Gosha here. Adam throws the hook out, won't find anything. The dragon's being started, but Gosha's here and wants to contest it. Vanguard's Edge is going to find Rindo Kobayashi, but he gets the shield and Gosha might be taken down. Gets a kill, but it's traded back by Dr. Kennen. Do they finish this dragon? Because Rapid Fire and Scarred Rabble are walking over. OGN as well will not find the swirl seed, but that's because Dr. Kennen, he's rooted up and taken down by Rapid Fire.
So a nice 2-for-1 in favour of Omega Gaming Lunar and the Ocean Drake going their way as well. We're 7 minutes into this game, dear, and already 2,000 gold lead for Omega Gaming in this best of 5. First game on the Rift. Everything in the early game composition going in their favour. They've got themselves a good lead, the first neutral objective, and that is the prime start for this best of 5.
Yeah, and it's not just that neutral objective, it's also the kills onto Rapid Fire that are uncontested. He has greater CS, greater kills, and has the cull stacking already. OGN managed to push in the mid wave as well to get the bounce for Gosha, and that's really the unlock button here. We've talked about how EOD, they want to be able to play through mid, and right now it's being denied as another beautiful binding lands in the bot lane. Rip so close to being taken down. One more auto will do it! The minion grabs it for Scarred Rabble.
Wow, and that is another solo, well, 2 versus 2 kill down on the bot side. Rabble and Rapid Fire coming up huge in this 2v2. Might not be finished yet. OGN top.
There is the level 6 here, and it looks like Myopia is going to be taking a small nap up here in the top lane. Gets taunted up, or rather gets the taunt, but could still be taken down here. Rindo Kobayashi is running over to try and trade this back. Does get the stun into a Eterno, but the flash away might save his life. Rindo Kobayashi does not have the movement speed just yet, is going to make up for it with the flash forward. Eterno has the Searing Charge out, and finally the bear smacks down his brother.
Yeah, the Swirl Seed, unfortunately, just a little bit short, would have given the slow, which would have generated enough space for Eterno to get away. They will definitely take that trade, though, on the top side, burning the death... Oh, mid lane, though.
Yeah, looks like Gosha overextending a little bit and is actually going to be chunked out very, very quickly. Should be taken down here by Adam and Dr. Kennen, but is running away with the pots here. Flash forward from Adam and the missile from Dr. Kennen to snipe it out.
Yeah, and I say no flash being on the Corki, but I forget to remember that the Flay auto-attack dealing so much damage from this Thresh actually means that the kill range is now there. The big one coming through from Dr. Kennen, and Gosha taking his 3rd death of this game. So far, the first 2 were trades. That one, however, was an overextension.
Yeah, and that feels a little bit awkward for OGL. Maybe getting a little bit too confident here, especially with Gosha not having teleport, is going to cost him quite a bit.
It really is. He's going to lose a few or a couple waves under the turret right there, probably about a wave and a half, and that is going to give Dr. Kennen a little bit of a lead in this mid lane. We can see level 8 to level 7, but that really is just, you know, mirroring the lead that is in the bot side, except for Omega Gaming Lunar. We can see strong CS lead for the Caitlyn, item discrepancy as well, and this this sort of leading Corki is really going to be matching up with the lead that the Caitlyn has.
And for right now, I think it's really going to be about exacerbating the lead that the Caitlyn has, because they've just picked themselves up the Rift Herald, and OGL, they need to find a way to explode this game. EOD, they've got some nice scaling in their pocket, but the Rift Herald dropped mid instead.
Yeah, an interesting decision for sure. Maybe trying to break Gosha out of the laning phase, recognizing that it's not going to be too easy for him for the foreseeable future. Would have, though, liked to see it maybe go bot lane, maybe start opening up. Oh, but Rabble, you're going to be caught.
That was completely blind! Scarred Rabble is going to be taken down, but it feels so unfair, as there was no... he was... What?
So they saw him on a ward outside of the red buff, and then Atom, using the big brain, times the movement of Morgana all the way down through from the ward into the Fog of War. They pick up a free kill onto Scarred Rebel there, and a bounty as well going in the pocket of Dr. Cannon. That's a lot of gold back over into this Corki, who really doesn't need any more gold at this point.
I was talking about Dr. Cannon, but apparently it is really Adam who is insane this game. That was, I mean, I respect it. You know, you see the movement speed and all, but like, holy moly, that's actually an incredible hook to land precisely, and it gets the kill onto exactly where EOD needed.
Black Shield hits.
Very nice to find another Black Shield. Scarred Rabble does get rooted up, but no follow-up from EOD here. Perhaps fearing the worst, as a nice root will land from Scarred Rabble, and will eat an ace, and the hole does rip on the way out.
Yes, so a nice chunk down onto Rip in this bot side of the map. He's going to try and look to take a reset right here, and we can hope if we toggle the gold right here that he doesn't even have BF sword money, so this reset going to be pretty awful for him. Might just pick up the tier 2 boots or even sit on boots and wait for the BF sword off of his next buy, which is, it looks like the decided upon approach. But this bot lane lead is so insurmountable for the time being that Omega Gaming Lunar feel confident just whacking away at this turret. They don't even need the Herald. They're going to be able to get the majority of these plates without Shelly dealing the damage.
And that is the power of the Caitlyn. I think I alluded to it a little bit earlier, saying I'd like maybe for the Rift Herald to be dropped in the bot lane, just because Rapid Fire is going to be so needing to be unlocked. But because he gets those plates on his own, it feels like OGL, they got the faith in their bot lane. They got the faith that Caitlyn could do what she needs to without the assistance, and they drop it mid. They just give themselves more gold and let Rapid Fire continue to dominate.
Yeah, exactly. We've got a quick pause here, 12 minutes into the game. A good time for us to sort of take stock of what is going on and sort of where the advantages may or may not be generated and how the teams are going to be wanting to play it out, right? We've got, as you mentioned, this incredibly strong Caitlyn, 109 CS at 1156. It's a large sum of these minions being picked up. The cull almost finished as well, and I like your point of trying to free up the Caitlyn and roam her around the map. For me, I agree that I would have liked to have seen Lunar use that Rift Herald bot lane, break open that tier 1 turret, rotate the Caitlyn up to the top side, get her even more plating on the top lane turret, because you can see it just in the top right of your screens right there, that the top lane turret still has 3 or 4 plates to collect. So if they were able to go up and get those onto the Caitlyn as well, would further snowball her lead over this Jinx, who's having an absolutely torrid time down in the bot lane. We definitely should be seeing some advantage in favour of Lunar generated through this Caitlyn, and if Rapid Fire can continue to carry through this mid game, then they have a strong avenue into the late game as well.
And right now, when we take a look at the minimaps, I actually just wonder a little bit what it is that Rapid Fire and Scarred Rabble plan to do next, because they're walking up towards the red buff, maybe planning to take that as well, but they haven't reset just yet, and Dragon has just come up.
Yeah, exactly. They need to be sort of looking around this neutral objective here. You can see that Gosha is actually leaving the base as we speak. Wait on this pause. So the potential for a 4v4 down on the bot side is very strong. There's maybe even up to a 5 versus 5 with Etherno has the teleport available. The Stand United on Myopia is also there. So we could see a very explosive team fight, and you make a very valid point that if we're able to just toggle the gold right here for a second, there's 1,400 gold sitting in the pocket of Caitlyn. That is unspent advantages for Omega Gaming Lunar that he's not going to have in this team fight. Doesn't have the pickaxe that he would like to deal out even more damage if this team fight does erupt. We'll have to see though, because as you mentioned, the Drake has spawned, but the setup is already there for EOD at least.
Yeah, and with that setup is actually very important, because as you mentioned, the sort of overlap between the gold that Rapid Fire hasn't spent, brings him to a little bit below the actual gold value that he has in his pocket, right? Or that he has in his inventory right now to be able to deal with around this team fight. And Etherno has teleport as well. Myopia, though, with the Stand United, and Shen is one of those champions that, because he has the Stand United, And because he has so much external utility in his kit, I'm always happy when we see him in the meta because of the amount of tools that he can bring onto the Rift. As much as it is also very annoying to deal with when you have a champion that has a lot of utility and a lot of extra stuff front loaded.
Exactly. There's already just a ton of things that we need to be keeping a track of, and it's only game number 1, right, in this series. We have potentially up to 5 of these games, and if, we keep seeing such diverse picks in the bot lane with the Jinx and with the Morgana as well, in particular, something that is synergizing pretty well with this Caitlyn, but not necessarily anything else, then we could see a lot of spice and variance coming through. I think, though, what we are going to do is this pause seems to be a little bit extended, is just cut it to a quick... I'm going to change my mind, never mind. We're going to hit it to a quick pause before all the things kick off, just so the Riot can buff out my replay and make sure that me and Dia are casting from the exact same thing, no buffers, and gives the stream just a little bit more added quality. With that, though, that should be good enough, and we're going to get it kicked off once again.
Perfect. Just as we start talking about getting us into that pause, Riot does us a solid. It gives us the team fight that we know that we want here. Is the hook from Adam not quite going to land? It's going to be a game of positioning.
Yeah, and already EOD have the priority over this dragon, and a nice little Tormented Toil going to deal a little bit of chip damage to Dr. Cannon. As we mentioned, does have that Corrupting Potion and the Fleet Footwork, so shouldn't be able to be too damaged by that overall. But it looks like as Lunar have just walked in to try and sort of assert some dominance, EOD have respected this Caitlyn and fell back into their jungle. Neither team at the minute willing to start up the dragon.
Yeah, it actually just looks like we're not going to get the objective at all, which is a little bit confusing because Omega Gaming Lunar are the ones that are being given the immense amount of respect that we know that the gold tells us that they deserve, but that they don't necessarily deserve it based on the actual spending, the actual economic value of them.
No, exactly, and it looks as though Lunar are trying to just push out their waves and make sure that they don't miss anything for this Drake. We saw it right there, that Rapid Fire walked down, pushed the wave, then rotated over. Gosha as well, looking a little bit more like he wants to focus on the team and help out. And with Eterno roaming down early on, not wanting to expend that teleport, we can see OTN starts up the Drake. Stand United available, and Rindo is looking over the wall.
Root is going to land, but I like this trap line. Even though Eterno gets rooted up, is quite tanky here and might take down Adam before he goes. Rapid Fire going to claim the Thresh right there. Gosha taken down in trade. 4-man knockup, but in the meantime, there's so much AoE damage off the side of EOD that they find two. OGN, he's looking for more though, wants to find Rip and Rinda Kobayashi. The shield will save his life, and Dr. Kennen might be found by the ace in the hole. The curved bullet from Rapid Fire will find the kill there, and it looks like Omega Gaming Lunar, they find themselves an even fight around this dragon. Do they start it up, or do they give the respect over to EOD?
Looks like another pause coming through. But
they need to think about their decision.
They do. They're giving it a quick little minute here to see what they're going to do. I'm going to have a little inspection and see what is going on here. And there's a lot of stuff going on. And we'll leave the players to sort that out. And I'm going to hope and wait that we can get some confirmation via other sources as to what is going on. But at the minute, all we can do as casters is break down the team fight and break down what's about to happen. And with the resume coming on in, we'll give it again just a little couple of seconds to buffer out and give up some catch-up for Riot. That team fight really in particular was so huge, and the Stand United doing a lot of work. The 4-man knock-up from Eterno really saving it for Omega Gaming Lunar. As I'm going to hit the replay button right here, it looks like Rapid Fire decides he wants to start up this Drake on top of the Scryers of the Scuttle Crab.
OGN quite low as well is going to force the teleport here out of Gosha this time. Having the double teleport available, can OGN get away? Nobody else wants to fight with him, but it looks like the bouncing blows will be enough to, or blooming blows rather, will be enough to get him away from Adam, who has had some really scary hooks this game. Even though he had just landed that one in the bot lane that has really impressed me, every time since then, whenever I see him charge out that animation, I like sit up a little bit straighter.
Yeah, he's, putting respect on the name early on and putting some sort of fear into Omega Gaming Lunar that this is a valuable pick for Atom, and maybe we see some bans targeted towards him later on, but so far it's not been too dominant that it's ruined Lunar's chances of team fighting. And something really important again about that team fight was we talked about it previously to it happening, that Caitlyn hadn't recalled and hadn't set up for the Drake, right? The gold in the inventory was still far too large to be enough to take that team fight convincingly. And we feel like if the Caitlyn had spent that gold, then maybe that team fight would have been much more one-sided. See, she goes back, picks up the full Infinity Edge and the Kerr Chase Shard as well. Now much, much stronger.
Yeah, if you take this team fight now, it goes totally differently for Omega Gaming Lunar. And it looks like there might be actually a little bit of a tower taken here as Rapid Fire snipes that one down. And it looks like almost takes down Rip in the bot lane as he gets bound up by the Morgana. Very nice bindings landing from Scarred Rabble this game. And I've actually put Jinx even more on the back foot, even when she's retreating.
Yeah, and we talked about Atom being the one hitting these crucial hooks, but Rabble time and time again been finding the bindings, finding the angle to really catch Rip off guard, force his cleanse out once again, and that's going to be down for the next couple of minutes here. And if they're able to find another binding just like that, you have to feel like with this Infinity Edge, with this Kerr Chase Shard, that the Jinx doesn't really stand much of a chance against this full damage Caitlyn so far.
No, and right now, actually, I have a little bit of a macro question for you, because I know that you're a much better player than I, Rudud. And I find myself wondering quite frequently, when you take down a tower or when you're dominating a lane, is it more beneficial to move around and try and take other towers, or just farm people for kills? Because right now, Jinx, very, very killable if one of those bindings does land. But we see that actually Rapid Fire and Scarred Rabble have moved up to the mid lane.
Okay, it's a very complex question, and I'll dissect it for this game in particular. Rabble and Rapid Fire probably don't have enough kill threat on the Jinx and Thresh because of the Lantern and because of the cleanse, that they feel confident breaking that bot lane tier 1, getting the gold onto them, and this also not only allows them to start taking turrets in the mid lane, but also allows Gosha a much longer lane to try and flex through on this Irelia, because he can now start looking for kills on the Corki, because the Corki, or whoever even answers Gosha down bot lane, won't have the safety of that tier 1 turret.
That makes total sense, as well as the Blade of the Ruin King, of course, coming in on Gosha, going to give him a lot of chase down potential, and the long lane going to benefit her here means that now it looks like he's actually going to be able to crash a wave, as Rip isn't able to catch that in time, and Adam roaming down with him through his own jungle here to provide him some safety.
Yeah, exactly. There's going to be a couple minions missed under the turret, and the Corki actually roamed up to the top side to try and help out with the Rift Herald right there. Looking at this top side, because a lot of members from both teams are just sort of stacking in this top jungle. We've got Rindo, Kobayashi waiting around the corner, and then OGN and I believe Rabble also nearby. Nothing going to come from the presence up on the top side though, and overall Eterno looking for an all-in.
Eterno might be looking to play this like a carry here. Gets another Brittle proc in Myopia. He's going quite low. Might even be taken down here. The Brittle might do it, but the auto block will save his life for now. Eterno walks himself away, and Myopia forced away from his own tower at sub 100 HP.
Yeah, this Ornn actually doing a substantial amount of damage. Talked about it in the draft that Ornn deals more magical damage than physical. This Sunfire Cape Ninja Tabby combo from the Shen, not really doing him too many favours early on. Typically we'll see a Tiamat into a Titanic Hydra Rush come through for the Shen, which would be better in this lane in particular, because the Sunfire just isn't doing it for him, unfortunately. We can actually see Gosha with a really interesting freeze right here. We're setting up this so that he's able to exponentially farm this bot lane, and the Corki cannot step up. Tabby's built up on the Irelia means that the auto attacks would deal less damage. Blade of the Ruin King as well means that the Irelia might be advantaged. I say that, you look across at Dr. Kennan's items, he's actually very fed on this Corki. Completed Trinity Force, not quite upgraded the Mana Mute into the Muramana yet, but a 2-item Corki is still an incredibly potent threat.
Yeah, and he's walking into the jungle here with the help of Adam, playing rather aggressively, and it was really that laning phase that threw me off when, oh, well, Dr. Kennan not going to be as big of a threat this game. Very silently, I feel like, has gotten himself to that 6-3 mark, and you're right, I'm not sure if Irelia wins fights against him at this point, but extending the lane in this way is going to help her quite a bit, as the Rift Herald picked up from EOD is going to be crashed into the mid lane tower of OGL.
Yeah, with the HP that Dr. Kennan had been able to just amass throughout the laning phase, the Herald and just a couple autos from the marksman is going to be enough to take that one down. We can already see with the pressure put in the mid lane by EOD, OGN and Gosha more so has pushed out that bot lane because they also know this Drake is about to spawn, and with it now being live, looks like Omega Gaming Lunar have full priority in this bot side jungle. Once again, Eterno is there and ready to take a fight, and also Stand United teleport available for Myopia. Could be another 5v5 here.
It just might be. It might have to be after the dragon, though. It's going quite low. Is that Mountain Drake going to be taken down? And if there are no channels to call the Forge God, gets a 5-man knockup! And that is 5 people put to sleep as well as OGN sings them a lilting lullaby. Rip is going to be running away as well as Adam, the curved bullet, going to find him once again, though. And this Jinx is not long for the world. Gosha going to claim this last kill for the ace for Omega Gaming Lunar.
Eterno with the 5-man call of the Forge God setting up Lunar for so much success. Gosha diving around in the backline, OGN as well. They pick up all 5 members of EOD. We talked about Caitlyn being the lead threat for OGL right here, but he literally spent the entire time hitting Myopia. Didn't deal any damage to the backline other than that ace in the hole, and it was all the front line for Omega Gaming Lunar. 5 for 0. Mountain Dragon puts them to sole point, and that teamfight has taken them to a 7,000k gold lead.
That was absolutely ridiculous. Like you said, 5-man knockup from Eterno, but it was followed up by as well a 5-man Vanguard's Edge and a sleep on top of it. And Rapid Fire, you're right, as much as he wasn't involved in that fight, this is the flexibility of Omega Gaming Lunar that we talked about. There are a lot of other people that can pick up the slack that's given by, say, the itemization of a very annoying Shen.
Exactly, and it was by no means a dig at Rapid Fire. He spent his time playing front to back. It's just by the time he'd got through the front, the back was already dead. He was untouched by the Shen. Definitely played out the team fight to the best of his capabilities. It was just that the rest of the team had done all of the hard work and, you know, staring down the barrel of a 5-0 Caitlyn. You imagine that would be the lead threat, but he was just sort of sat there wailing away at this tank, and then by the time the Shen had died, he's kind of gone, guys, wait, where'd the team fight go? We already won, what?
She's all ready to crit the backline as Gosha also ready to go into the backline, but there's no front line for Dr. Kennen this time. It's not a team fight that he's used to, and Gosha, very, very comfortable in these duels on the Aurelia, is going to take him down.
Yeah, even with the upgraded Trinity Force and Mirror Mana right there, wasn't even able to stand up to the Aurelia. Hasn't completed the Trinity Force either, but just the Blade of the Ruin King, the Conqueror, and the connection of the dance was enough to secure a kill. Eterno on the top side.
He's just looking for fights at this point, feeling very, very confident. Even if he's not on the gangplank, certainly has the damage on Myopia. He might just be taken down again. This time, Rapid Fire should secure the final auto. Instead, hits the turret a few times before taking down that Shen. And it's going to be Myopia claimed, and even more of a pressure game in the top side for OGL.
Exactly, and this game is really starting to teeter in one very succinct direction. Omega Gaming Lunar taking the top tier 1, now the top tier 2 off of the back of that kill onto the Shen. And in this entire time, Rapid Fire collecting all of the farm, all of the kills. Looks like another fight erupting.
Package is going to be the trigger for this fight, but Rapid Fire just taking the 1v1 with Dr. Kennen will almost take him down. The pool going to do it for the Morgana. Will she fall, though? Flash floor from Rinda Kobayashi. The Zanya is going to counter it, but Gosha, he's in your backline, my man. And Rip is going to be taken down, as well as Thresh for the double kill. Adam goes down. Scarred Rebel still alive. And yes, they sacrificed Rapid Fire, but OGL, they walk away with even more.
Yeah, Assassin Rabble right there fires the Tormented Soil under the Corki, uses the Soul Shackles to take down Rindo Kobayashi, and as you mentioned, Gosha tearing up the backline once again on this Aurelia. Yes, it was a really nice dive by Dr. Ken and picks himself up 1,000 gold onto Rapid Fire, gets himself a huge bounty, but it's at the worst cost of potentially losing this Baron and losing 4 other members.
And it was a lose-lose situation because you've just lost your top laner, so it is a 4v5, but at the same time, you also have the package available from Dr. Kennen. And you know, you want to take a fight, you want to try and find these picks for the Baron, but instead, what ends up happening is you take the fight, you lose the fight, you give up Baron as well as the 4 kills. Yes, you find Rapid Fire, but that is all you find.
Exactly, and you can make the argument that 1,000 gold is worth in certain situations. Maybe, you know, a 1-for-1 and you get 1,000 gold, that's great. But a 1-for-4 and the Baron, but you get 1,000 gold, it doesn't quite teeter that far over, my friend. Now we need to look at Omega Gaming Lunar and their closeout mechanics. They've got the Baron, Mountain Dragon spawning in about 45 seconds here. That will be Soul if they're able to pick it up, and they should have no trouble taking a team fight here. Gosha even might have been looking for Dr. Kennen, but the early Valk just about gets him to safety. I say that. He's dancing with the devil right here. He knows he's got 3 members backup, but Gosha's completed the Trinity Force and is well on his way to the Death Dance as well. He's definitely a threat, even more so than he was previously.
Yeah, Dancing with Death is a very appropriate way of putting that. Eterno, though, I wonder if he actually dies here, or if we see Omega Gaming Lunar get to him in time. He's very tanky at this point in time. Gets the double knockup, almost takes down Adam by himself. forces the locket as well. OGN going to find the ability to put members to sleep. Myopia is going to be in trouble here. Scarred Rebel goes on a killing spree, surprisingly, and Rapid Fire's walking down the Shen here. No Shadow Dash available means that is going to be 2 for 0, and it's right around this Mountain Dragon as well.
Yeah, that's going to be an easy pickup for Omega Gaming Lunar, and you were exactly right. Well, there were 3 members wailing on Etherno for the good portion of that team fight, but look at him, he's still over half HP, more than capable of tanking up this Jinx, who hasn't even completed the second item yet. The rest of Lunar going in. Gosha!
Oh, he might never get the chance to complete that second item because Gosha, he smells blood in the water. Looks for Dr. Kennen as well. Takes him to about that half HP mark. But Etherno is going to be able to tank up this tower, get OGL, not only the tower, but meantime, OGN is taking down the dragon as well, and it's going to be the Mountain Soul here, giving them even more safety as they put the base of EOD in ruins.
And even more stats for Etherno. This Mountain Dragon is going to be so profitable for the Ornn in particular. 6% plus 6% makes it a nice 12 on top of all of the bonus statistics that Ornn gets from the ornament upgrades and building tank items for himself. You know, the items base, maybe they give 70 or 60 armor and MR. At this point, he's looking to have almost doubled that effectiveness just because of the Mountain Drake and the ornaments.
And it's, yeah, with the Mountain Drake especially, I think it secures everybody else's life so much as well. Even if Etherno dies, Gosha is going to be so hard to chew through as well. Now that he's working towards, like you said, that completed Death's Dance, and OGN fears no man. Gets a 2-man sleep here. Should be able to finish off the Volibear, but it will be Rapid Fire who snipes that kill away from him. Myopia is being ignored here as he's right on the backline, but Shen does nothing at this point, and the walk down from OGL into the base, the teleport onto the minion for a good measure will secure Omega Gaming Lunar the first game in our best of 5s tonight, taking them to 1-0 in the fight for the semifinals.
And a wonderful first game for Omega Gaming Lunar, exactly as they had intended. Use the early game to snowball themselves into an advantageous spot in the mid and late game, and they pull it off to a T here. They're able to not only go through the early game with minimal deaths in total, but they also secure the neutral objectives, get Rapid Fire incredibly far ahead, and at the point where we thought Rapid Fire was going to take over, Gosha, Etherno, and OGN all step up in the pivotal team fight, and that just really sealed the deal and snowballed them beyond all belief.
And it's not an Orianna, but oh my god, that's a lot of AoE damage when you pile all of those on top of each other, and EOD not in a position to deal with it at all. Dr. Kennen was looking very scary, but they couldn't manage to find the success story for EOD. They couldn't manage to find that carry, even that hyper carry, to put them over the edge there, because Omega Gaming Lunar, they end that with such a huge advantage at the end of the game. There's no way that you're ever going to catch up realistically. Like you mentioned, Jinx just sitting on that one item, and Omega Gaming Lunar looking very, very strong at the beginning of game 1. I wonder what they'll bring for us in game 2.
Yeah, there's a lot of options open to them. They could just run back the same composition, though I expect that EOD will not allow that through. Something will have to change here, be it the Morgana that aided the Caitlyn so well, be it Etherno on the top side on this Ornn that did the most damage in the game, by the way. There's a lot of things that need to be looked at from EOD if they want to make this best of 5 competitive.
And we'll have to find out which problems they choose to patch up as we move into the draft of game 2. It should be coming at you guys very shortly. Don't go anywhere, because these games, they're going to be the ones that decide the finals.